Welcome, everybody, to the first game of the season, first Saturday of college football. Nebraska-Northwestern is what we're going to be focusing on, and I couldn't sleep last night. I'm surprised I'm even up to do this stream, but you know what? It feels like Christmas Day to me. Joining me here is Chris, aka Husker Big Red. You've probably seen him in some videos that we've done together. Fantastic to be back with you for a season and fantastic to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, man, go big red. We're finally here. It's like seems like forever, but yeah, totally feels like Christmas. Like I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna get, unwrapping the present here at kickoff. But yeah, it feels awesome. I'm excited to be here. Go big red. Like we're less than an hour from kickoff, guys. I can't wait.
Less than an hour. Starting off with Casey Thompson. Casey Thompson, the new quarterback transfer from Texas, and all eyes are going to be on him today.
Yeah, I think he's one of the reasons I feel confident about Nebraska, going into this game is I think we have the better quarterback. But we have to see it on the field. Adrian Martinez, I've talked about him before. He was a great kid. He played his heart out for Nebraska, but he just did not play winning football when it mattered the most. And I think that was pretty evident. I wish him the best at Kansas State. Like I don't want him to have a crappy season.
No.
I hope he gets to a bowl game. And with Deuce Vaughn, like I could turn her off and hand it off to Deuce Vaughn. Like that guy's spectacular, and so I think that's going to make Adrian's job a lot easier. Hopefully, Nebraska can do that with Anthony Grant. We still haven't really heard. I haven't seen like a depth chart or a starting roster. Have you heard? Do you think Anthony Grant's going to start today or?
Yeah, I think all indications are people have that Grant's really strong and can.
Oh, sorry, I got froze up there for a sec. I think you hear me.
We're having some internet connection issues here on my end. I think it was. Hold on, let me make sure everything's good. Apparently, my internet is not ready for game day, but I think Anthony Grant will be the starting back. He looked explosive during the spring game, and all indications are from whatever we've seen over the course of camp that he will be the starter.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm really excited to actually, I've watched his highlight films. I've seen what he's been able to do, in fall camp a little bit. In the spring game, he looked outstanding. That's when I really, going back and watching the spring game gets me really excited for Anthony Grant. But yeah, so I'm excited to see him, and I'm really excited to see this offensive line. There's been a ton of talk about this. When Donovan Raiola, pushing the guys so hard they're throwing up all the time. Let's see.
Let's not get that started again. Jeez.
Let's see what that effort is going to look like today and what that, brings to Nebraska. I think Northwestern's going to make it hard for us to run the ball, though. I just think that, they've got a lot of pride, this program, and Pat Fitzgerald's going to, have them playing tough. I don't think they have the athletes per se to hang with Nebraska, but I do think that, they're going to really sell out and try to stop the run. So it wouldn't surprise me early on if, there was some tough sledding in the running game. It just seems like Northwestern's going to do everything they can to try to make this a more competitive game than it was last year. I don't think this is going to be 56-7.
And I think one of the things you brought up last week was, if something didn't work the first time, Scott Frost tended to stray away from it. I think we're going to get, not stuffed on the run, but I don't think they're going to make it easy. With that being said, should we get away from it? No, because I think come the third and fourth quarters, there's going to be opportunities for a fatigued defense to really struggle on the part of Northwestern. So if the run game doesn't work at the beginning today, Nebraska should definitely, stick with it because I think there will be opportunities. It just may not be immediate.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see who all gets rushing attempts today. It's safe to assume, we're going to see Anthony Grant, Ramir Johnson. Then I think Gabe Urban might be the third guy. It's really interesting. I think there's five guys you could make a pretty good case for, running the ball with. Even AJ Allen, Yant. So there's a lot of depth options there, and I'm interested to see what the offensive line looks like. They've talked about how they feel like they have 7 or 8 starters. Almost every coach says that, though. If you look at like every, they always say they feel
Yeah.
like they have 7 or 8 starters before game one. We'll see if we've got five and if they can make it all the way through. But what matchups or what players, I guess, on the Northwestern side are you kind of worried about, or what about the Wildcats concerns you in this game?
The run, literally the run, because that's what they're known for. Evan Hull is a very strong running back. I'm not too concerned about their passing attack because historically they haven't been a very strong passing team. And do we officially know who the starter is at quarterback for them?
I just am assuming it's going to be Helinski, I think is how you say his name. If
Yeah.
not, I don't really care to that guy, but sorry if I messed your name up if anybody sees it. But
Yeah.
I believe I haven't seen anything, and I don't think there's anybody really else that is going to be the starter. And if you look at his production last year, there was hardly any. He completed 54% of his passes. His one stat you can really look at. Completion percentage is one thing, but I look at yards per attempt, yards per pass attempt. You want 7, 8. If you have a quarterback that's averaging 8 yards an attempt, that's somebody who's pushing the ball downfield. I think he was in the fives. So that kind of tells you, that Northwestern was not very good at creating explosive plays. They've got the left tackle. I'm just spacing on his name, but he was first team All Big Ten last year. So, he's going to be a tough, but I feel like Nebraska's going to be able to kind of overwhelm, maybe one guy. And I know that Northwestern's offensive line, just watching them against Nebraska, I mean, Nebraska just absolutely destroyed them last year, on the defensive side of the ball. I remember JoJo Doman, and that kind of set the tone with that huge sack, in the first half. And I think that, sacks are going to be key today, but I really, think that Nebraska has the advantage, on the offensive line and the defensive line matchup.
I agree. I mean, the offensive line is another. The jury's still on the offensive line. I mean, I think that we don't know what we're gonna get from the line. Um, this is a unit that has struggled the past 2 years, and you know, now we have a new offensive line coach. Will they struggle as they continue to get coached up by Donovan Raiola, or will they improve? That's the big question mark here, and that whole unit is a wild card to me.
Yeah, it is kind of a wild card. Teddy Prajaka, I'm really interested to see how he plays. I'm assuming, um, that he's going to be up against, kind of Northwestern's, some of their better pass rushers. And, his health was kind of a question. And, it's our first time kind of seeing him. I haven't heard anything about him, not being healthy, but sounds like him and Turner Corcoran are going to go. I don't know if we've talked about this in terms of injuries. Omar Manning, obviously, we've said he's not dressed today. That's verified, right?
I've heard a concussion. I believe it is verified. There was a picture circulating that showed him in street clothes, so I really feel for him. He just, it's been one thing after the other for him, and I hope he can see the field maybe next week.
Yeah, if it's concussions are hard, it's it could be something where he's back next week, or he, depending on the how bad it is, he could be out for a few weeks at a time. So it's really hard to say. Hopefully, he will be back. In terms of a position where Nebraska could probably have an injury going into this first game, I feel like receiver is a position that can absorb that. I think it's pretty clear Trey Palmer's going to start. Marcus Washington, I think, will start, and I think Alante Brown will kind of step up into that spot. Him and Omar Manning, I think, are pretty similar in what they bring. So I mean, I'm not saying that it's not going to hurt Nebraska not to have Omar Manning, but I don't think it's going to be a death knell for them at all.
And you mentioned in one of our shows in the past that, it seems like good kids that Scott Frost has recruited have always seemed to get injured or something. And this is another case where this guy was, a talented, top JUCO receiver in the country when Nebraska recruited him, and he just hasn't been able to put it together. So I'm hoping next week we can finally see him on the field, and I'm hoping, he gets better because concussions are no joke.
Yeah, and that's the thing with concussions. Depending on the severity of it. I mean, it could be something where he's out for a month or so. I mean, you don't want to speculate at all,
No.
but just hopefully he gets healthy today, and some other guys are going to have to step up. One guy I've thought about in this matchup for weeks now, who I think we really could see make a big play today is Marcus Washington.
Hmm.
I think of all the, I think he's a little under the radar in terms of the receiver. There's Trey Palmer, there's Omar, there's even some of the freshmen making standout plays. But I think that Washington, he's got that connection with Casey Thompson, and this is Casey Thompson's first start at Nebraska. This is the first time he's played a game under Mark Whipple, and with all of these wide receivers, he's never been in a competitive situation with Trey Palmer before. I mean, in a real live situation, but he has with Marcus Washington, and they made some really explosive. They created some explosive plays last season at Texas, and it wouldn't shock me at all if he was able to take the top off over the defense and make a 30, 40-yard reception today.
No, because I really don't think in that Northwestern has the strongest secondary. So I believe there will be opportunities to really kind of take advantage of that. And for me, I want to see what Trey Palmer does today. Casey Thompson said that Palmer was the one of the fastest receivers he's ever played with, and now I want to see that connection. I want to see deep throws, touchdowns, all the good stuff. I think this is going to be a good test for Nebraska to open things up, open up conference play, even though it's not the conference portion of the schedule necessarily. And time will tell how they do today, but I am excited to just get things going. This feels like one of the longest off seasons in recent memory.
Yeah, it has been a long offseason, and I think that's just been it was the 2021 season was so unsatisfying. Nebraska looked like a good football team when you watched them. They looked like a team that should be winning 6, 7, 8 games, but you are what your record is, and they were a 3-win team. And I think that's why there was so much frustration. A lot of people wanted Scott Frost gone. I mean, let's be honest about that. There's a lot of people that don't want Scott Frost to really be coaching this game. They don't think he can get the job done. They don't have faith in him, and they're just kind of waiting around to say, "I told you so" at the end of the season. I'm not saying that they're wanting Nebraska to lose, but if Nebraska loses this game, a lot of those people are going to come out in the Twitterverse saying, "I told you so." I mean, that's just a fact.
I know some of those people. I can think of some. I won't mention names because I'm nice like that. But yeah, this is gonna be a tough. This is gonna be a huge game, and I know. Oh, they're overstating it. I don't really think so because if they lose this game, then it's gonna look bleak for the rest of the season. I think, or not bleak, but it's an uphill battle, and that's what they did to themselves last year against Illinois. And hopefully they can take care of business here against Northwestern. So I'm thinking maybe it's time for us to offer our score predictions. We were supposed to do them on Friday, but we were so busy that we just didn't get to them. So give me your score prediction and Husker player of the game. How about that?
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we got a little busy with. I also, I'm a high school sports person here, so it was a start of high school football got me a little more, caught up in time than I thought would be. But yeah, so score prediction. I've went back and forth a little bit on this. I think the spread right now is hovering at 10.5 points, so it's come down a little bit. It was 12.5, a few days ago. I think that I'm really confident that Nebraska's defense is going to stymie the Northwestern offense. You look at the running back Hull, last year, he only had 2 games in Big Ten play where he averaged more than 4 yards an attempt. So, I mean, he had over 1,000 yards, but he had almost like 220 of those against Ohio. over 400 of those yards were, in a couple of meaningless non-conference games against MAC teams. So he
Right.
didn't. I think he had one 100-yard game in the Big Ten. So I think Northwestern is going to get stuffed in the run. I absolutely do. I think the pass rush is going to come up with about 3 or 4 sacks today. I think Garrett Nelson's going to have a huge game. And I'm going to go. Yes, I'm going to go with Garrett Nelson. It's going to be my player of the game, and my prediction is going to be, like I said at HuskerBigRed.com, 34-17. I think Nebraska's going to get a couple turnovers. They're going to take care of the ball. I think it's going to be a game in the second half still. I do think that Northwestern will get a couple of plays, and they'll find a way to get some points on the board. But at the end of the day, I feel confident that the Huskers are going to win by double digits.
Yeah, I'm going to say my player of the game is going to be Anthony Grant. I think, although we have the weapons to kind of open things up offensively, I think we kind of play it conservatively to start things off here because the one downside with the first game is that all these other teams can have film on us now. And, I think Anthony Grant's my player of the game. I think it's going to be a close game in the first half, but Nebraska will open things up in the second half. I'm going to say, let's see, 21 let's see, 21-10 Nebraska, because I think the defense is going to come up big today, and I don't think they're going to allow much. That's an experienced group, and I think they're going to play like it.
Yeah, I agree. It is gonna. I don't think that the Northwestern is gonna get a lot of sustained drives. I think they'll find a way to make a big play or two, or maybe they'll get a return and get a field goal, or there might be a turnover at some point. It's the first week of the season, and this Northwestern team isn't as bad. I don't think as we want to believe that they are. Nebraska did beat it by 49 points last year. I mean, let's be clear about that. And they did lose their best overall player in the transfer portal to Notre Dame, and Brandon Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the secondary, they do have some questions. Coco Azim is one guy that's, back, and he's got some experience. They've got Bryce Gallagher on defense. He was one of their leading tacklers last year. Their pass rusher, I have no idea how to pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try. That's why I'm usually a print person, a print journalist. So, I don't have to pronounce names. I just have to say them, spell them correctly. Ottawa Bore. But anyways, he had 4.5 sacks last year, and he was their sack leader, and he's back. But outside of that, they don't have a whole lot of, studs on defense. This is their second year in a new system. And last year, they were horrible. I think they gave up like 6 yards a play.
Yeah.
So Nebraska, I think today's got, if Nebraska doesn't get 450 yards of offense, or at least in the 400s, I'm going to be a little bit concerned.
I mean, yeah, I think, it is the first game, so I think some things will have to be worked out. But I do think that Nebraska will come away victorious in this one. We'll see how we feel at halftime, and we're going to try to do a halftime stream, so feel free to pop in and leave your comments, questions, concerns, and then we're also going to try to do a post-game stream, and hopefully we'll be happy on the post-game stream because that will be a change from previous years. We're going to wrap things up now just so everybody can get their snacks and lunch or breakfast, whatever time you're waking up today. And
Busch Light.
or Busch Light. That would be nice too. And let's hope for a win today. So with that, I am Danny, a.k.a. The Great Cornholio. This is Chris over at Husker Big Red. Make sure to follow our accounts today. We will be live tweeting the game, and we will see you at halftime. We'll probably put out the link about, maybe 10 minutes before, would you say, Chris?
Yeah, I think so.
We'll probably put out the link about 10 minutes before, and we hope to see you there. Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.